Welcome to Easy Email Marketing. I'm your host, Yael Keown, mum, FIFO wife, MBA, coffee lover, survivor superfan, and creator of the email experience. In Easy Email Marketing, you'll benefit from my nearly 20 years experience, where I'll be teaching you all the tips, tricks, and insider info on how to create feel-good, non-spammy experiences for your subscribers. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to Easy Email Marketing. I'm your host, Yael Keown, and today is all about getting those extra opens, those clicks, and those sales from email marketing. All of these things fall under this big umbrella term, which we call email engagement. And basically, that's just how we're getting people to engage with our emails instead of just leaving them in our inboxes unopened, unread, and definitely not resulting in any purchases. I'm sure you've heard the stats before, things like that email marketing gets a return of investment of $36 to $42 back for every dollar you invest, that its returns are 10 to 20 times that of paid advertising. And a recent one I came across is that 50% of consumers purchased from an email every single month. So this sounds fantastic, right? But there is a catch. While I would love to tell you that just writing that one email will get those results, that is just not the case. It is a long-term relationship. Also, I would love to tell you that going and finding that amazing email script or swipe files and all of that stuff and just writing something really good will result in those sales and sending those on a regular basis. But that isn't the case either. There is a lot that goes on under the hood of email marketing, and that's what I want to open your eyes up to a little bit today, and that is digging deep, going below the surface and looking at the 7 key drivers for your email marketing engagement. So if you want to increase those opens, those clicks, and those sales using the power of email, then listen up, because I have probably a lot of things in this episode that you might not be aware of. Now, this is actually all in celebration of a new-ish or a revived program I am launching called Engaging Emails. So Engaging Emails has been around for a little while, and it was focused a lot more just around those words and a few of these extra hacks for getting opens and clicks, etc. But I have dug deep and I have really been doing the research. I've been pulling together all the work I've been doing with clients, the experiments I've been doing, and combining what the data says and what the information is that's out there with the practical shortcuts that actually make it realistic for an everyday business owner who is not a total tech head to be able to implement in their businesses. So to celebrate the launch or the revival of this program, I am actually running a live round across 7 weeks beginning on August 18th. And doors are open right now for just over a week. So if you want to join me in that, make sure to check out yaelkeown.com/engage. And newsflash, those 7 weeks cover these 7 drivers that I am going to talk about with you today, obviously at a significantly deeper level. Okay, so let's get stuck into driver 1. The first driver is conversion-focused email design. So how your emails look. Because stats show that people are looking at an email for an average of 9 seconds. Of those emails opened, only 11% are read thoroughly, so only the super highly interested people, and about 57% of them are skimmed. You know, your emails need to do a lot with that time and that limited attention that you get. So even if you are getting opens, it's likely 57% of those people reading it are just like scanning the surface. And you think, okay, great, that's easy. I would just, make my emails brief with lots of headings and lots of, white space and just make it really, really scannable and look good. Yes, you can absolutely do that. But there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure that you beat those 9 seconds by a lot, and also just make sure that everyone can read your emails. So there is firstly the layer of ensuring that your subscribers can even see the email properly. We're dealing with tech here. We're dealing with lots of different devices, different computers, and different abilities of people. And so that means we need to be mobile responsive. If we are not, we could be losing a significant amount of sales right there. 50% of non-mobile optimized emails are deleted within that first 30 seconds. Things like Outlook rendering impacts the design. Things like dark mode. Apparently 34% of people are viewing emails in dark mode right now. Have you tested your emails to see what they look like in dark mode? Can your calls to action still be seen in that? We're also talking about things like load times. How long does your email take to load? And are people giving up before they even get to the point? And this hasn't even touched on making your emails accessible to those with disabilities. Remember, 1 in 6 people have a disability, 80% of which are not immediately visible. So we need to think about supporting screen readers, making it easy to read without contrasting text, having great touch target sizing. So when they have to click a link, is it big enough for people to click? And also thinking about neurodivergent people and making things scannable and easy to understand. So that's just the first layer. That's just making sure people can even open your emails to begin with. And then there is the design of the email itself. So that's scannability and the structure. One key thing is ensuring that the most important details are in the first part of that email. Making sure your calls to action are clear, not relying too much on images, and of course, having that cohesive professional branding. So it is a lot for one email to achieve, and already you're thinking like, oh my goodness, I thought I could just type some words in whatever template that MailChimp gave me, and it will work, and it will to an extent. Obviously, these email software providers want to make sure that you are delivering emails that are designed well, but there are still things we need to do to make sure it happens. But of course, I want to make this easy for you. So my biggest tip, of course, is to create, really good templates and save content blocks. So you don't spend 5 hours on every email create. Instead, you get it right once and then you use it time and time again. So that is what we cover in week 1 of engaging emails, really digging deep into all of what I spoke about in terms of accessibility, making sure the tech is set up right, and just getting it done in a way where you can literally just go select template, drag and drop some content blocks, and type in your words. Done. The second driver of email engagement is probably to nobody's surprise, and that is your content creation. But taking this deeper, we want to make sure all of the content we create is strategic, that there is an intention behind every email, and that we have alignment with our business goals and our promotional calendar, so that we're making sure that we are sending out emails that are going to support our sales efforts, and we're not just leaving it to the last minute and then all of a sudden the only emails we are sending are sales emails. So I like to think of this in Survivor terms. So in Survivor, there's this term called social capital. So it's when someone has the reputation, relationships, and trust equity with other players, and that results in how well they can influence other players into taking actions that ultimately benefit you as an individual. And hopefully, even if you vote them out, they will still vote you to win in the end. But social capital is built on what you don't see in that final edited show. It's the personal conversations, it's asking questions, it's finding common ground, it's being of value by helping around camp and contributing in challenges, it's checking in regularly with everyone, so that consistency. It's keeping your word most of the time and adapting your approach to each player. So it's no different though with your email, except you're not doing the blindsiding or the lying part, thankfully. In order to get sales, you need to build that social capital with your email list. So this means not only emailing them when you have something to sell. So obviously sales has its place, and I'll get to that shortly, but it's the work between the sales that gets the results. You need to be strategic about what content you are sending and when. So that mix of stories, that mix of asking questions, being genuinely helpful, building that trust with your testimonials, with your case studies, with your generated content. And if you do all of that consistently, when you make the ask, you have built that social capital and the sales will follow. But of course, you don't want to do this with locking yourself away in a writer's cave for weeks at a time, because all of a sudden, that's a lot of content. So my pro tip here is making sure you align your marketing emails and your regular emails with your promotional strategy, having themes, having a calendar in place and building out your content in line with that, and creating a mix of content types. So not just your sales emails, but emails that are sent specifically to send helpful content, and emails that are sent with more like engagement focused content to get those clicks and those opens, etc., which you'll see the importance of more in a moment. So that is all in week 2 of engaging emails, where we go into how to come up with those ideas, what types of emails to send, and how we can obviously do that strategically and really quickly, using a lot of hacks that I have developed over the years so that you can actually get these emails out effortlessly, and you'll always know what you're going to be sending next. Okay, now, driver 3. This is probably the one that you might have your head in the sand about, or hopefully you've got it figured out, and that is your deliverability. So obviously this is everyone's fear, right? That one day you are going to end up in that spam folder. You've been putting in all this effort, you've been writing emails, and someone says, I didn't get it. You get that panic that your emails have gone to spam. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But one big eye-opener that I see definitely as I work with people new to email marketing is when they first set up, there's a lot of authentication and deliverability factors that we need to set up right from the start. And if you're not familiar, this is basically all these things on the back end of your website and your DNS records that you need to set up to basically say that your email software has permission to use your domain name, to use your email address to send emails to people. Because people like Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, Apple Mail, they're obviously not wanting their users to be spammed. And there's all this spoofing stuff going on and things like that, where they want to make sure that the people sending emails are legitimate. So there's tech things we need to be doing on the back end. So there is that layer too. Luckily, that only has to happen once. But we also want to be looking at building our sender reputation, which is all about those engagement metrics. So that is where we want to make sure that we are sending emails that people are opening. So we're sending content that people want, not just all those sales ones, and we're providing plenty of opportunities to click. Because as soon as a user does those actions, Gmail will go, they like those emails, I am going to continue to show them. Conversely, if nobody's opening, if nobody's clicking, over time, your sender reputation goes down the gurgler. So we need to consistently be sending these emails that get these clicks, that get these opens, so that we boost that reputation and so that your emails stay going to the inbox. And plus it builds great habits with your users, right? And that leads all very nicely into driver 4, which is open and click rate boosters. So far I've spoken, about getting those opens and about getting those clicks and that engagement, and obviously getting the emails delivered in the first place is crucial to that. No one's going to be opening if they're not being delivered. The email design needs to be good, because nobody's going to be opening emails that they can't even read properly or that aren't in the right format. And obviously the content itself is important, because people, only going to be opening and clicking things they are interested in. But that doesn't mean there aren't extra things we can do. There are definitely extra little intricacies to getting opens. So things like optimizing your subject lines, your sender names, your preview text, when you are sending emails, how often you are sending emails. There's an art and a science to that side. And then, of course, to get more clicks in terms of having greatly designed calls to action, mixing up your calls to actions, and giving them different opportunities. So again, not just all those sales. So in week 4 of Engaging Emails Live, that's when I go into some of these more specific little open and click strategies that we layer in to get that engagement more. And sorry, I didn't mention that, week 3 is all that deliverability stuff. So we make sure we get that all tech stuff ticked off all together, and I explain it in layman's terms. So you've got that all sorted. Then on to driver 5, which is where rubber hits the road, and that is your sales conversion strategies. Now, once again, you'll see that everything overlaps here. Obviously, everything has been leading to this point. We have been making sure emails are opened and clicked, and we're building that social capital, etc. But of course, when it comes to actually selling, there are plenty of strategies that we can use to help get us across the line. So when it comes to conversions, I always refer back to the lift model, which I think is a really great model, all about sales conversions. And I've recorded a previous episode on this. But there are a few things that we need to be doing to increase those conversions. The first one is to increase the relevance of the offer to whoever we are sending it to. And the way we do that is through segmenting, which is one of the following points that I'm going to get to. But it's also about our language and making sure whatever we're offering applies to the person we are sending it to. A second thing we want to increase is clarity. So we want to be super, super clear about what the offer is, how it helps, and also visually. So this goes back to that design again. We want to make those call to actions obvious. We want to focus on those benefits. We want to have that language and that flow and that structure of those emails, and we are clear about what we're talking about. And similarly, along those lines, we want to decrease distraction. So not only in terms of having those really well-designed emails, but we want to make sure that if someone clicks that link in that email, that is taking them straight to that checkout or straight to that booking form, that they're not getting a whole bunch of other steps in the way, that they're not having to wait to fill out a form and then get a reply, and it's this 10-step sales process. We want to make it quick. We want to make it easy. We want to hopefully avoid some of those distractions. We also want to reduce anxiety about the purchase. So this means putting in some social proof. This means talking about guarantees and shipping times and asking and answering specific questions and concerns that people have. So whether that is through your words, maybe it's through some visual graphics in the emails, etc. And then the final factor that is really crucial here is urgency. So while all of these other factors I've spoken about in terms of, your relevance in the email design and your segmenting, etc., and a lot of the things that cross over with these other areas, urgency is really the number one thing that comes into this sales conversion module. And that is, how can we make them take action now instead of next week, next month, etc. So you can do this through internal urgency. So sometimes through your automations, you might know when someone's wedding date is. So you can say, well, if you want to have this service ready for your wedding date on such and such time, you have to order by now. Or people have a deadline, like a baby is on the way. There's internal urgency there. Or there is external urgency, and that is where we've got our promotional offers, etc. But you don't have to just do discount codes, etc. You can do things like pop-up offers. You can do things like, anything that's limited quantity, etc. So this is where we go into and explore some of those strategies that you would be using for those promotional periods, for your launches, for different ways in which you might want to invite people to work with you across the next quarter, waitlist options, how to test your ideas. So that is in week 5. We go into all of those details and how to actually get the sales with emails in both your everyday emails that you are sending, even if they are focused on content or something engaging or helpful, and also when you are doing those more focused sales periods, how you can get the most out of them. Driver number 6 then is essential automations. So this is now where we're really getting into making the emails more relevant to the people we are sending them to, and also how we are sending them at the right time. So email automation is all about meeting people where they are at right now. And this is really what sets it apart from other marketing channels, because we can say someone's new to our list, they've never heard of us before, so we're going to welcome them and share the most important information. Or this person's just purchased from us for the 10th time, maybe we want to give them something extra special. Or they've abandoned a cart, or they have booked in and we want to provide an onboarding experience for them. There are a whole range of different automations that we can implement, and this is all about timing. So we're sending the right messages to the right people at the right time. And the stats don't lie. Automated emails generate 320% more revenue than your campaigns for those exact reasons that I spoke about. So if you are just sitting there with your bare minimum automations, just like a welcome email, maybe an abandoned cart, or maybe a here's how to start working with me one, you are missing out big time. And obviously the big benefit of automations is they run without you. So this is the literal sales in your sleep. And if you have enough and you build out a really robust automation strategy, all of a sudden your reliance on those regular campaigns is cut down significantly, because you know if someone is actively engaging with you, or in some way, you are still reaching out to them via email. So again, this ties right back. So you can do things like seeing who's opening, who's clicking, and based on those actions, send out other emails and continue to boost that that engagement, and it just keeps building and building and building upon itself. So week 6, inside engaging emails, is where we dive deep into automation. I give you the specific automations I recommend that you put in place for different business types, e-commerce services and digital creators, a bit of a checklist, some outlines on how to do it, and really give you those first steps. And of course, we'll be layering in what else we've used throughout. We'll be adding in those extra sales elements and putting in that urgency within these automations. We will be adding in the design strategies to make sure the emails that are in them are giving the right messages, and we're using some tactical content blocks to really boost it, and obviously the right sort of content. And then finally, we finish off with probably the most important, but sometimes the most overwhelming factor, and that is segmentation and personalization. According to HubSpot, segmented emails drive 30% more opens and 50% more click-throughs than unsegmented campaigns. And Campaign Monitor, said a 760% increase in revenue. So that's not a small amount, right? That's not something that we should be ignoring. And this comes back down, again, to those conversion factors, and this comes down to relevance. So if we've got the timing right with our automations, imagine how we can get even better if we said, okay, based on this action, this behavioral trigger, this thing that you have done, and this interest that you've shown, combined with something we know about you, what category you fit in, what stage you're at, what topics you are interested in, and we talk to you with the content and with the information that is relevant to you at that time and are aligned with your interests and that stage that you are at, that is powerful. That is what gets people across the line. So putting that into your automations or also in your regular campaigns. One of the biggest concerns I hear from small business owners is that they don't want to be seen as spammy or annoying because they are just wanting to, because they've got an email to send out, but they know, I know at least, this proportion of my audience that's not relevant for, and I don't want to send it to them. Segmenting is the answer. So all you need to do to make this work is, of course, have ways that you get that data in. So a lot of that can come from just your integrations with other software. It can come from, the behavioral things in your email marketing software itself, or it can come from, if you just ask some questions, some simple questions, and people actually sign up quicker with if there's a third question at sign up. The stats show it because it shows that you are interested in them and that you're going to provide content and information that is relevant to them. So we want to be making sure we're increasing our segmentation, and we're just thinking about how we can personalize these emails, because sometimes we get caught up thinking, okay, it's just this numbers game. The more people we have on our email list and the more people we send these emails to, and we just send more and more emails, that it'll be more effective. But actually it comes down to this timing. It comes down to this segmenting and sending that relevant content, and that's much more effective. And that's much more useful of your time. It's much more efficient, and it gets that engagement. It boosts those engagement scores, which means your emails get delivered. It means more people are purchasing as a result. So it all just ties together. So that's where we finish up in terms of the 7 weeks of engaging emails, is focusing in on this segmenting. So the different ways you want to segment, where to get that information, how to use it, and ultimately how we can boost your engagement. So I've realized this has turned into one of my larger episodes. I got a bit excited talking about all of these engagement factors. So if you have forgotten, here's a quick recap of the 7 drivers of email engagement. Driver 1 was your conversion-focused email design. Driver 2, strategic content creation. Driver 3, spam-proof deliverability. Driver 4, open and click rate boosters. Driver 5, your sales conversion strategies. Driver 6, your essential email automations. And Driver 7, your smart segmentation and personalization to make your emails really, really relevant to your audience. So all of this content is going to be delivered live over 7 weeks as part of Engaging Emails Live, starting on August 18th, 2025. So that's in just 2 weeks at the time of this episode dropping. If you are interested in joining that live round, you can check out all the details at yaelkeown.com/engage. So you will get all of that content and access to that content for life. Plus, that I will be doing live group coaching calls every single week at different times to suit different time zones, so that you can ask your questions. And so we're working on it together. But I just want to be clear that this isn't about overwhelming you with information. This is about practical steps. So everything I will teach, I will be actually showing you how to do it, like really, really quickly, really, really easily. And even if you just chose one of these to improve throughout the program, you might find just that makes all the difference to your business. And as I mentioned, you will have lifetime access to the content, etc. If you are listening to this in the future, don't worry, you can still go to that link and grab the DIY version, and perhaps there might be some live rounds in future. And obviously, if you sign up to the DIY version, you will get access to those future live rounds. So thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope to see you as part of Engaging Emails. You can learn more about that at yaelkeown.com/engage. Thank you so much for joining me today. I would love to know what you've enjoyed from this episode and what you want to know about in future episodes. You can message me over on Instagram. I'm at yaelkeown, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Easy Email Marketing. It's an absolute honour that you chose to listen. If you love this episode, then it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review so that others can find this podcast and make their email marketing easy too. Finally, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a thing. Until next time, have an awesome day and make sure to keep showing up and serving in those inboxes.